Hi, I'm Sarah from The Upcoming. An absolute pleasure to be able to speak to you here in wonderful, wonderful Cannes. Maybe you can just kick off with a brief introduction to Harka. For people who don't know anything about your film, what can they expect?
So Harka is about a young man growing up in Tunisia who has plans to leave the country, to migrate to Europe, and there's an event in his life that keeps him there, and it's essentially about his slow decline. That's probably the best way I could put it. Yeah.
And can you tell us about the sort of the germ of the idea? Because it's in kind of the aftermath of the Arab Spring.
Yeah.
Why was that context appealing to you, and why was this the right story for your feature film?
The aftermath of the Arab Spring, you said?
Mm-hmm.
I think. Well, it's a background of the film was initially to make a picture about Bouazizi, Mohammed Bouazizi, who started it was the symbol of the Arab Spring initially. But I think I was just compelled by that character because it was sort of like before politics, it was just this one individual whose condition and state of mind was enough that it would spurred this whole thing. To me that felt really novel and great for a movie. And it was this sort of character that I'm interested in, the anti-hero, or just kind of like unknowing protagonist, So that was the starting place, and then I got to understand more about the state of the region, and so that was basically it. It was just a pretty organic trip.
And do you feel that your background in documentary making really played a role here? Because there's such a gritty authenticity to the look and feel of the film, but also the fact that outside of Adam, you're mostly using a non-professional cast. So was that something really important to you? What did you draw from your documentary making in that respect?
Oh yeah. That was a kind of a blessing and a curse, the documentary background, because going into the film, I really, and because of the subject matter, I wanted to be really careful, and just kind of keep to, and initially, like I said, it was kind of a biopic, So I was kind of like, what do you call it when you walk lightly? I was treading lightly, yeah. And being like, I think a little too careful, because ultimately in the process, this being my first scripted film, I had to take a big departure away from what documentaries are, and so it was a balance, I think it was allowed us to. Some things were very important to me that I wanted to keep, which is like working mostly with non-professional actors that felt right, and also the location, So we shot it on location where the Arab Spring began. But obviously there's also so much artifice in movies, and ultimately a lot of that stuff, you have to be able to move well away from that stuff, even in the script, So.
And tell us about, casting and working with Adam, because I think this character is a difficult one to play, because he's very complex. He's in a difficult situation, but you wouldn't call him a victim. There's very much a kind of repressed energy there.
Yeah.
So how did you know he was the right person for your film? What's it like working with him?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Repressed energy. Yeah. He was great because his first. We did a lot of casting for that role, and it was really. I thought we were never going to find it. We did a lot of street casting. We did a lot of formal casting. But Adam had, when Julie Viez, our lead producer, found him, and he sent this audition tape, it was so natural, and there was really nothing to it, So that to me was very refreshing. And he had this kind of like nice. He had this nice look that to me was sort of classic. It was like these actors. I don't know how to explain it. There's like some honor to his look. It seemed honorable, but without looking for sympathy, you know, and just a good combination of being strong but also vulnerable, you know, and there was a lot in his gaze and his stare. We actually came up with this nice thing. Speaking of the repressed energy that you mentioned, like when we were rehearsing and getting it down, we worked together on this like way that he would get in a zone when it was just a matter of like a look of his to really say a lot, you know. So it was like the opposite of meditation, you know. If you like spent 10 minutes really stressing yourself out, you know.
And what do you hope people take away from watching the film? Because, I mean, one of the main scenes that stands out for me is the beach scene and this kind of divide. You know, you see the tourists there and then you see him and they're gazing at each other. You know, is it about fostering empathy and getting behind the headlines when we hear things about, you know, immigration, the migrant crisis, and showing the humanity behind that, and also the desire to be seen?
I think that is a really great point, the desire to be seen, you know, that everyone and recognized, you know. But I wouldn't say that I have like a lesson or sort of message that way. It's more just a portrait of what I was seeing there in people. So.
And just very quickly, how does it feel to be here in Cannes? And can you tell us what you're working on next?
It's amazing to be here. This is the best place we could possibly imagine showing the film. And next, I have this biblical horror film, which we're going to be announcing soon.
Amazing. It's been such a pleasure to speak to you. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah,
Enjoy
thank
the
you
festival.
so much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
that.